The mysteries of the Anunnaki. Myths, reality, and controversies. Extraterrestrial beings in ancient Mesopotamia. Hello, welcome back to our Historical Evidence channel. Today, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating and mysterious topics in history and conspiracy theory, the Anunnaki. Prepare yourself for a journey that will take you across the far reaches of time and space as we explore the unusual stories of perhaps extraterrestrial beings who have shaped the history of humanity. Have you ever wondered if there is more to the origins of human civilization than the history books tell us? Who were the Anunnaki? Were they gods, aliens, or simply ancient myths? Throughout this video, we will investigate the theories surrounding these mysterious figures and the evidence that proponents of this idea present. We'll explore Sumerian texts, stories of genetic engineering, Sumerian mythology, and even touch on the influence of these theories on pop culture. You won't want to miss a second of this exploration, because the story of the Anunnaki is truly fascinating, full of mystery and intrigue. Before we dive into this journey, it is important to note that the Anunnaki theory is not fully accepted by the academic community and is often viewed as pseudoscience. We will be covering the theories and explanations, but we will also highlight the controversies and skepticism surrounding this subject. Number 1. Historical context. To fully understand the theories of the Anunnaki, it is essential to contextualize them in the history and culture of ancient Mesopotamia, particularly the Sumerian civilization. Mesopotamia, known as the cradle of civilization, was a region located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, covering parts of what is now Iraq, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. The Sumerian civilization, one of the oldest in history, flourished in Mesopotamia from around 4500 BC to 1900 BC. Cuneiform writing. The Sumerians developed cuneiform writing, which used wedge-shaped characters for inscriptions on clay tablets. These inscriptions became a rich source of information about the life, religion, politics, and culture of the time. Sumerian religion and mythology. Sumerian religion and mythology played a crucial role in everyday life and the way the Sumerians viewed the world. The Sumerians worshipped a panoply of deities who were part of an intricate mythology. Cuneiform texts. It is in cuneiform texts that defenders of the Anunnaki theory find references to these beings. Texts include myths, epics, historical records, and religious rituals. It is these texts that many claim contain evidence of interactions between the Anunnaki and humans. Complexity of Sumerian civilization. It is important to note that the Sumerian civilization was remarkably complex for its time, with cities, agriculture, commerce, writing systems, and advanced mathematics. Many believe that the sophistication of the Sumerians, which apparently appeared suddenly, can be explained by the influence of the Anunnaki. However, it is crucial to remember that the interpretation of these texts and the application of Anunnaki theories to them are highly controversial. Most scholars and experts in history, archaeology, and linguistics view these stories as part of Sumerian mythology, not as historical records of extraterrestrial visitations. As we explore Anunnaki theories throughout this video, we will remember the complexity of this historical context and the many mysteries it contains. Number 2. Theory of the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki theory is an intriguing narrative that claims that an ancient race of extraterrestrial beings called the Anunnaki visited Earth in the distant past and played a pivotal role in the evolution of humanity. This theory is based on various explanations and interpretations of ancient texts, particularly Sumerian texts. Let's explore some key observations that are often made regarding the Anunnaki. Anunnaki origins. According to the theory, the Anunnaki would originate from a planet called Nibiru, which had an extremely elongated orbit and would take thousands of years to complete one revolution around the sun. Intervention in the creation of humanity. One of the theory's most prominent statements is that the Anunnaki performed genetic engineering experiments to create humanity. They mixed their own DNA with that of early humans, explaining the apparent evolutionary gap in human history. Interactions with ancient civilizations. Proponents of the Anunnaki theory claim that these beings played a fundamental role in the development of the first civilizations, such as Sumer. They provided advanced knowledge in areas such as astronomy, mathematics, agriculture, and metallurgy. Divine hierarchy. Many proponents of the theory defend the Anunnaki as the gods or deities mentioned in Sumerian texts, often associating them with mythological figures such as Enki, Enlil, and Anu. They argued that the Anunnaki were worshipped as gods by ancient people. Legacy and continuing influence. Furthermore, theory suggests that the Anunnaki continue to influence events on Earth to this day, and some conclusions include the idea that Nibiru may return to Earth's orbit at some point, causing cataclysms. In the next segment of this video, we will explore these ancient texts and how they are interpreted in light of Anunnaki theories. Let's continue our journey into the mysterious world of the Anunnaki. Number 3. Ancient texts and Anunnaki interpretation. To understand the theories of the Anunnaki, it is essential to delve into ancient texts, especially Sumerian cuneiform texts, which are often cited as sources of evidence by their defenders. Let's examine how these texts are interpreted in light of Anunnaki theories. Sumerian mythology. Sumerian cuneiform texts contain numerous mythological and religious stories that mention deities and supernatural beings. Proponents of the Anunnaki theory see these deities as the Anunnaki, extraterrestrial beings who descended to Earth. Records of divine interventions. Some Sumerian texts describe events that proponents of the Anunnaki theory interpret as divine disciplines of the Anunnaki in human history. For example, the Sumerian creation myth, which involves the formation of man from clay, is interpreted by some as evidence of genetic engineering experiments carried out by the Anunnaki. Mythical figures and Anunnaki. Mythological figures such as Enki and Enlil, frequently mentioned in Sumerian texts, are seen as representations of the Anunnaki. Enki, for example, is often interpreted as a scientist or engineer who played a central role in the creation of humanity. Artifacts and visual representations. In addition to the texts, some defenders of Anunnaki theories point to visual representations in ancient artifacts, such as sculptures and reliefs, which depict beings with distinct physical traits that could be interpreted as extraterrestrials. However, it is important to note that these interpretations are highly controversial and are often not accepted by most scholars and experts in history and archaeology. Many view the stories in Sumerian texts as religious myths rather than historical records of encounters with extraterrestrial beings. Furthermore, they argue that these selected interpretations do not take into account the cultural context and symbolic nature of ancient narratives. When exploring Anunnaki theories, it is essential to keep in mind the academic skepticism and debate surrounding these interpretations. In the next segment of the video, Number 4. Genetic engineering and the theory of the Anunnaki. One of the most intriguing investigations of Anunnaki theories is the idea that these extraterrestrial beings performed genetic engineering experiments to create humanity. This claim is often mentioned as an explanation for the apparent evolutionary gap in human history. Here are some of the key points related to genetic engineering and Anunnaki theory. Creation of humanity. According to the theory, the Anunnaki manipulated the DNA of primitive humans, thus accelerating the evolutionary process. This would explain how humanity quickly went from primitive beings to highly advanced civilizations. Genetic experiments. Proponents of Anunnaki theories often cite Sumerian texts that describe events that can be interpreted as genetic experiments. For example, the Sumerian creation myth of Adapa, or early Adam, is often seen as a description of the creation of humans through genetic engineering. Genetic similarity. Some proponents of this theory argue that the genetic similarity between modern humans and other primates cannot be explained by natural evolution alone. They claim that the introduction of Anunnaki genes is the only plausible explanation for this similarity. Continuous influence. The Anunnaki theory also claims that the Anunnaki influence on human genetics continues to this day. It is argued that these beings may have returned or continued to influence human evolution in some way. It is important to emphasize that the claim of genetic engineering carried out by the Anunnaki is not supported by the scientific community. Scientists support the theory of evolution by natural selection as the most plausible explanation for human evolution. Furthermore, the idea that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth to carry out genetic engineering experiments arose, lacking solid scientific evidence. Number 5. Sumerian mythology and religion. To understand the theories of the Anunnaki, it is essential to explore the mythology and religion of the ancient Sumerian civilization, as these elements play a crucial role in the interpretations of reports about the Anunnaki. Here are the main talking points. Sumerian pantheon. Sumerian mythology was rich and complex, with a pantheon of deities and supernatural beings. The Sumerians worshipped a variety of gods, each with their own characteristics and areas of influence. Among them were Anu, Enki, Enlil, and Inanna. Gods and heroes. Proponents of Anunnaki theories often identify these Sumerian gods and heroes as representations of the Anunnaki. For example, Enki is often interpreted as a central figure in the creation of humanity and the transmission of advanced knowledge. Creation myths. Sumerian mythology includes creation myths that describe how humanity was formed. One myth in particular, that of the creation of Adapa, is often interpreted as evidence of genetic engineering experiments by the Anunnaki. Interactions with deities. Cuneiform texts often describe humans interacting with deities. This is seen by some evidence of interactions between the Anunnaki and humanity. Cultural influence. Sumerian religion and mythology had a significant influence on later civilizations in Mesopotamia, such as the Babylonians and Assyrians. Some proponents of Anunnaki theories argue that these influences with logical means can be traced back to Anunnaki intervention. In short, the Anunnaki theory is an intriguing narrative that claims that extraterrestrial beings called Anunnaki visited Earth in the past and played a key role in the evolution of humanity. This theory is based on selected interpretations of ancient texts, especially Sumerian cuneiform texts, as well as explanations of genetic engineering and divine intervention. Although the theory of the Anunnaki has had a significant influence on popular culture, science fiction literature, and discussions of conspiracy theories, it is essential to approach it with a critical eye and with the awareness that interpretations of these ancient stories are highly disputed. As we explore the mysteries of the Anunnaki, it is important to keep in mind the value of critical thinking, evidence-based analysis, and consulting reliable sources. The search for truth and the exploration of fascinating topics must always be in balance with intellectual rigor and academic supervision. What did you think of today's video? Did you already know any of these Anunnaki mysteries? What impressed you most? Let us know your thoughts on this topic, as we would love to read and respond to your comments below. And if you liked this video and haven't subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any of the intriguing videos we post every week. And if you want to take advantage and learn a little more, be sure to click on one of these videos that we are suggesting for you. Remember, a people who do not know their history are condemned to repeat it. Until the next video.